people buy shit to fill gaps.
Yeah.
Do you touch on that a little bit? Like why they buy a designer bag when they can't afford it, but they need it to peacock. They get the quick endorphin hit and then they need it to like signal to the world, like, no, I'm not a loser. I have a Chanel bag. Like, do you go there a little bit?
Yeah, I do.
And I'm not, like,
I do.
It's a book in itself.
Yeah.
But I'm curious on how much, if any, you touch on it.
Yeah.
Because everyone's going to say, I can't save, I can't invest. I'm like, you sure can. Like, don't buy the new iPhone every time it comes out.
Yeah. There is actually a phenomenon coined by Estee Lauder as the lipstick index, in that during times of financial downturn, you actually see the purchases and the revenue for companies that sell little treats.
That's right.
Tick up.
During the Great Depression,
People bought
makeup
perfume.
exploded.
Yep, exactly.
Little hits.
Little treat.
Little treat.
Yep.
Not private planes, but just makeup. That was the luxury.
And when you can't afford the flat screen TV, much less the car, much less the home, a little hit will give you the dopamine that you need.
I am aware.
But it prevents you from getting to these bigger goals.
When you are really in debt and you are buying a $19 cocktail at happy hour, there's that you've got to figure that shit out.
Yeah.
That constant Uber, seamless, Starbucks, it fucking adds up. And our society currently has decided that that's a necessity, not a luxury.
Yep. But I also address the flip side of that conversation.
I heard you.
So
I heard you, which I love.
The little stuff matters. It does add up. It's death by 1,000 paper cuts if you get a coffee every single day and you get the Uber every day, whatever. But there's also a school of thought that says, make sure when you take the big swings, you are negotiating your ass off, because if you can get $50,000 off of the purchase price of your home,
it's $50,000.
that's $50,000.
If you,
know how much you're going to save?
If you can get
avoiding coffee?
$7,000 more in your salary, it's $3,500 more. Well, actually, at my tax bracket, much more than that for the normal person.
Yes, and
100%.
It's so much easier to make more money or save big bucks when you're buying the big ticket items versus trying to nickel and dime yourself. Because I do think you're allowed to have a little treat, but to your point, if you have too many little treats too many days a week, it really can hold you back.
Give me February 7th, 6th? 7th. Give me a February 7th, 2024 hot take on anything financial that's got your attention.
So there's a current trend going on called loud budgeting. And I think that it is here to stay, and it'll actually become a very pervasive thing in our communities. So for people who aren't chronically online, loud budgeting is essentially where it is now socially acceptable for you to talk about your financial goals with your friends and use them as an excuse to get out of social obligations, out of things that are going to cost money. So suddenly...
Transparency
yes.
and vulnerability
yes.
will lead to less discomfort in the long term, maybe a little bit on the upfront.
Correct.
Which will allow you to not have to keep up with the Joneses and have the stigma, which will allow you to budget better.
Exactly. And I do think that with the next generation, we're just more honest.
100%.
Like,
in some ways.
We're not embarrassed.
In some ways, we're remarkably more honest, which is why I love Gen Z and Gen Alpha. In other ways, we're more clever. We're very... I feel like I'm so part of it. I'm an old fucking dude compared to these kids, but I love these kids, but they're a little more clever.